Welcome everybody to today's CX Midday Spark, which is powered by Pace and brought to you by CX Global Media. It's produced by CX Global Media. And today I'm here with one of our key contributors, Kristyn Emenecker. Kristyn, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm going to be talking about something that I think is critical for everybody, and it's widespread. It's been an issue for a while. And I'm looking forward to having this dialogue with you. Now, my issue is making sure that we keep it within 15 minutes because I'm passionate about this particular subject.
Okay.
But you want to talk about the most important and critical member of contact center teams. So tell us, who is that?
Yeah, for years and years, right? This isn't just a 2020 problem. This has been for a long time. I have felt so strongly that the person who has the biggest impact on our agent retention, on our customer experience ultimately, and on how efficient our operations run is the team lead or the supervisor, right? Called different things, different places. But, that person is so critical because we know that employees don't leave companies, they leave their boss. And so that's the direct line, between that frontline agent and the rest of the organization. They are the lifeline, they are the support, they are the motivator. And we put a lot of, responsibility on their shoulders in terms of coaching and development. And if somebody says the wrong thing, if they give the wrong information, if a customer has a bad experience, we start to look at the supervisor. What's happening with your team? Why are you not moving them along? And yet, they're kind of that member of the management team with the fewest years of management experience. Most of them came off of the phones, right? I mean, I went that path. I think many of us have, and the most direct reports, and in some cases, the most responsibility. So I just think they are, they're kind of their forgotten frontline. They're like our unsung heroes. And I'm happy that we're talking about them today.
Well, and I'm glad we are too. And you talked about, reasons they're overlooked. So why is this particular important, team member?
Yeah, I think, I just think that, I think that we focus on the big pieces. We focus on, right, especially this year, 2020, right? We focus on, oh my gosh, the business. Are we healthy, right? Can we stay in business? Can we keep going? We focus on, the customer. We should, right? That's what we're in business for. So we just focus on the customer, and we should be looking at the customer experience. Recently, and it's a good thing, we've started to actually start talking about employee engagement, especially as they go home, right? Focusing on the agent. And I just think it's easy they're just kind of this group in the middle that just is easy to skip past, I think, in all of that. And, but it's unfortunate because they need, training and support and resources and attention. Again, we're asking them to do a big job, even crazier this year with their employees working from home. And in many cases, we're running around equipping everyone else, and our conversation with them is make sure your agents are ready, right? Make sure they can do this job, and that's it. But meanwhile, they might have been on the phones a year ago themselves, right? So they need some additional support. I think they're doing just, superhuman work.
They are. And so for me, I've been studying this for a long time. And when I was in operations, I was responsible for the development of our emerging team leads. So we would, look at people that were, those, potential high performers that were, essentially, to be groomed, to be supervisors. Yeah. We actually put them through what we called a team leader and training process. Now, a lot of organizations don't have that.
Right.
Next week you're over there and you're leading these 12 people.
Right.
And I've also been studying how adults learn. And when you start talking about something tactical, it's simple. We can put them through a class. You follow these steps. That's not what leadership is about. Management is about that. So manage the process, manage the policy, that's fine. But when you start talking about leading people and engagement and development and all that stuff, that's a very different skill set.
Right. Coach them, develop them, improve their skills. These are not things that you get from a course on how to approve time off, right? This is a very different thing.
Yeah. And so what we found is that, so I created a virtual leadership academy called Call Center Coach, and we focus in on 6 core competencies that, looking at this issue over the past 35 years, are really the main elements that we need to develop skills in order to be effective coaches and developers
Mhm.
and leaders. And that's staff development, results orientation, communication and change management, customer service and sales, collaborative relationships, and business acumen.
I love that.
The thing about these 6 is that even if you go up in the organization, it's still a core foundation.
Right. 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 Yeah, no, I agree with you. So you're equipping them to move forward. So yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that.
So when you start talking, you mentioned something about change and the
Mhm.
differences in how it was and how it is. Now, I think we finally getting to the point where there's some settling and some realizations, right?
Mhm.
And some folks are saying, hey, when things are lifted, if that's what we're currently under, that we're going to, have people come back. Some say we're going to have a hybrid model. Some say,
Right.
hey, we've gone remote, we're staying remote. What
Yeah.
are you doing?
Well, I think that I think that the challenge for the supervisor is to develop relationships and expand relationships. But in some cases, remember, they're still hiring, so they may have people working for them they've never met in person. This is a total new world for all of us who have had to do that, right? But certainly for a manager without a lot of experience. And so we're asking them to develop relationships, to closely monitor, are they where they're supposed to be, are they doing the right thing, is it them taking the calls, or did they log their mom in, like do we have, are we answering questions the right way, what are the customers, or responding to tickets or doing chats, whatever it is we're doing, is it being done correctly? And I think one of the things that has struck me, because I've been watching this and talking about, kind of the post-pandemic contact center and things since like April. And one of the things that's really struck me is I've seen this again, this push around, oh my gosh, we need tools for frontline agents. We need to get the interactions to them and the tickets to them and the chats and the calls to them, right? That's the first thing if they're at home. And then the second thing is, oh my goodness, we need to make sure that that we are asking them how they're feeling about their job, and we're connecting with them. And then we say, for those of us sitting here in management, oh my gosh, you need to decide on things, we need Zoom, right? And we need tools to be able to have our management meetings and work. And yes, everyone gets that, right? I'm not saying that team leads and others don't get that, but I've seen very little. It's trailing. I'm starting to see it now, but I saw initially very little of the, oh my gosh, what else do we need to do to equip these supervisors and these team leads to be more effective coaches in a remote world, right? In a world where people aren't right next to them, and to understand performance of their team, even though they're, not there, and to make sure they're doing the right thing at the right time. And it's just, like you said, spend time with them, do the training, ask them how they're doing, ask them, provide coaching courses, provide courses on connecting remotely. Some companies are doing a great job of this, just not enough. And so hopefully us having this conversation today will wave that flag to say, you know what, guys, these people, they need tools that are different than probably the tools they used when you were in the office, especially if you're going to stay this way. And, these things have all changed, Jim, since you and I started. I mean, it used to be, these used to be big, expensive, like everything you bought for an organization was big and expensive and, took months to implement. And now it's not, right? You can get free trials and things. You can try stuff out. You can, think about their tools. Don't just think about getting the calls to the employee and what management needs. Think about what your supervisors need, because it pays dividends in your employees' engagement, in their satisfaction, in their knowledge, in their ability to handle customers, and ultimately in your customers' loyalty and experience.
Oh, well, I guess I'll have to date myself because it was cheap for me. All we did is we bought a cassette recorder.
I remember that. Yeah, I did that too.
We hit record, and then we came back and listened to them later and scored calls. I don't know what you're
Right. Or you sat side by side with the buddy jack, right? Yeah, yeah. That's hard to do now remotely.
I tell you, oh man, yes, you're right. Things have evolved and changed. I think when you start talking about the differences associated with need and impact of the contact center on the business, I think that has dramatically changed the investments. Now, we saw some of this happen
Oh, it has.
years ago when companies started realizing, oh, it's about retention. It's not about acquisition, right? We need to retain our customers. But now I think it's a scenario where it's like, without the contact center, we're gone, right? How do you?
Yeah. And we're seeing a big change in terms of the investment. And that's a good thing. So I'm not saying we aren't. I'm saying just when you're doing that, don't overlook the people who in some ways have the biggest impact. Yeah.
You have to help me because I'm might be a little bit controversial about this, but I think it's important. Okay. One of the things when you start talking about being an effective leader that is of vital importance is humility. And my concern or worry is that we're talking about coaching, which is a skill, and then we're talking about leadership, which requires competency development, and it happens over time. Leadership skills is not quick. It's not easy. Yeah. However, what it does require is somebody at a senior level to say, I need it too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And also, I was just thinking as you were saying that, also to someone at a senior level to be willing to roll up their sleeves and do it with you, right? Because that's the way that we learn the best. So to say, I need it too, to create those programs so that they can learn together, and then to say, let's talk today about how you're working with and engaging and developing your people. Let's just sit down. Let's go beginning to end. Let's look at what reports are you looking at? How do we do it? Let's do it together. Teach me what you're doing and doing it with them. And I think that's also a really effective way. Like you said, the leadership skills still need to be developed, and that needs to be an ongoing commitment from us to our, future leaders at every level. But I think that, some of the things you can do now also involve humility and the ability to roll up your sleeves and get involved. And that's some of the best way you can support them.
Most definitely. So for me, when we launched the virtual academy, I started, we're talking about frontline and emerging leaders, and that's who goes through the academy. And I started having senior level leaders register, and I started asking them, why are you registering in this academy? And they said, I got three reasons. First of all, I've never been on the front line. Second is I just was given a responsibility. It's been a long time since I've been on the front line. And the third is I need to know what my people are going through so that I can, have the right expectations and all of that.
Bravo to them. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the people who are leading the way, and we need those type of leaders.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, you know this, I mean, you start to see that in the people that they develop, right? Because people flourish under that sort of leadership. Yeah.
Most definitely. Kristyn Emenecker, I've had a great time chatting with you today, as I usually do. Now, if you could, please share with the CX Igniters how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, they can certainly reach out to me on LinkedIn, Kristyn Emenecker, or on Twitter. My Twitter handle is a little bit weird because it's named after my two children. So it's at live, L-I-V, and A-N-D, Eden, or live in, sorry, I didn't even say it right, L-I-V-I-N, Eden, E-D-E-N. My children's names are Liv and Eden. So it's live in Eden on Twitter, or you can send me an email at kemenecker@gmail.com.
And you can also find her at Customer Service Weekly and CX Global Media. Kristyn, thank you for helping us all ignite that CX fire and carry it forward all year long.
Thanks, Jim.